Hey everyone, welcome to The Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and today I have the lovely Bernadette DiGabriele. Welcome, Bernadette. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So great to have you. Bernadette is a woman of many talents. She is a transformational coach. She's a Marconic energy practitioner. She is an abundant life speaker and also an ordained spiritual counselor and teacher. And she gives spiritual guidance to people who are walking their path. So again, welcome, Bernadette. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Wendy. I'm excited to be here with you today. Gosh, it's been a minute.
It has been a minute. It's nice to see you face to face instead of just by text or, phone. It's always nice to connect by video, because I feel like you're right here with me in my living room, which you are. This is my living room. But anyway, we were talking before about how you were the sixth of 7 children growing up. Tell me a little bit about that. What was that like for you?
It was both rewarding and challenging, being number 6 of 7 children in a very strict Catholic household. My parents, they struggled. And by the time they got to me, being the youngest girl, I really took a lot of the brunt of what my older siblings actually, did. And that was kind of projected onto me. And so it was a little tougher for me. I was kind of like the black sheep, not kind of, I was. And I still kind of have that attachment to me from the family. But it's been really rewarding because it's really helped me to jump out of my box.
Yeah, it forces you to claim yourself, right?
It really does.
From an early age, because you're always fighting for your place and fighting to be seen for who you are. And it's really tough to come in and agree to play that role for our families and face the judgment, because we already have so much to tackle and overcome with our own judgment of ourselves, but then to layer on the Catholic aspect and then the judgment of the 5 older siblings, and then your parents trying to put you in this box that you don't belong. Don't you feel like it was kind of like you're always fighting for your place somehow?
Yeah, I did growing up. And finally, it came to the point where I was really exhausted from trying to fit into the box that everybody else had created for me. And so that really was the catalyst for me. I finally came to the realization that it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter how far to any extreme that I went to try and please people or to help them to see who I really was or am or any of that. I would try so hard and be so frustrating. And then finally one day it was like that aha moment. It doesn't matter what you do to please them. You will never take yourself out of the perspective in which they see you.
Right.
And that isn't up to me to do anyway.
Right.
It's not up to me to prove to them that I am this or I am that or I'm not this or I am not that. I was 15 once, yes, but I am not 15 anymore.
Right.
So the person I was when I was 15,
right.
But that carries over.
Those
so even
perceptions stick. They stick so hard, and then people continue to relate to you. Or relate to that aspect of you that is no longer who you are, and it's so maddening, and I can relate to that 100% in my family.
Very, very frustrating. It is frustrating.
So hard. What was hard for me was learning to love myself with the judgment that was placed on me. Now, there was no judgment if I was a good girl and I did what was expected.
Right.
If I was the person that everyone expected me to be, and I showed up and I hit those markers, I was golden.
Right.
But the moment I pivoted and wanted to walk my own path and be my own person and embody who I am meant to be here,
Yeah.
that's when all the problems started. All of a sudden, that's when all the sidebars happen behind your back, and the judgment and the disapproval and the kind of frustration. Like, if only you would just do what you're supposed to do and be who you're supposed to be.
Right. Don't think outside the box. Don't step outside the box. And let me tell you, Wendy, I was 14 years old, almost 15. And I was, I went through a rebellious period because, like you said, you have these projections put on you, these perceptions put on you. And, I was being grounded for stuff that I didn't even know. I didn't know what marijuana looked like. I thought it was white, but yet I was accused of selling it. And you know what I mean? So at 14 and a half, they did an exorcism on me.
What?
Because of how.
What?
I know, right?
Oh my God.
So, I was this way off the wall. I was thinking outside the box. I didn't fit into the religious circle that, they had created for me. And it was very difficult to mold myself into this, whatever they had for me.
And God knows we tried, but our spirit's just too strong. We just couldn't do it, right?
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, no, this is not for me. But I did. I mean, underneath all of that judgment, exactly what you said. Under all of that judgment and perception, and so I'm traumatized now because am I that bad? Am I that evil? I have something inside of me that is so evil that you have to do this exorcism on me. I mean, you want to talk about a mental fuck?
Oh my God, no, it's totally a mental fuck. I mean, you can swear on the show. You don't have to censor yourself, but that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I believe that was really one of the biggest turning points for me. There's a lot of things leading to that, but that moment in that, for me, I no more religious bullshit. I'm done with that. Who are you to tell me that there's something wrong with me when you're telling me, to listen to Jesus and do what Jesus would do, and this is what I'm feeling, and then you're telling me that that's not okay.
Which is actually denying the light within you. Right, to not allow you to express and be who you were born to be here.
Yeah.
What a tough contract you picked. You actually threw an exorcism into your contract.
When you said earlier how, you had that glimpse into, I can laugh because I'm thinking to myself, yeah, how funny was I?
I know. Before we got on, I was telling Bernadette that I had this glimpse or vision of myself and my older son on the astral, kind of planning our life here. Because we do plan our lives before we come in. When we're in spirit form as a soul, we have lessons that we want to learn and things we want to experience here in this earth life, in this earthly experience, to help us with our soul evolution. So we create kind of a template of the soul family that's going to be in our nuclear family, and then the soul family we're going to create with our children, and the lessons and mirrors we're all going to have for each other. And I literally saw my son and myself kind of mapping this life out and laughing at some of the, because we were going to grow exponentially from the experience, and we just thought this is going to be great. That's what we're coming for, is to quantum leap in this lifetime. We're just going to take it all the way to the next level, literally. And we were laughing, and then I was like, then you get into this human experience, and you're like, what the fuck? What were we thinking? This is no joke. It's bringing me to my knees, you know? So anyway.
But yet we were so ready to bring it all on in one lifetime. I mean, you know, who would have thought?
Right. We were
But
so ambitious.
we are, right? And you know, getting through it, wow, how victorious will we feel on the other side going, that's right, Wendy, high five, what?
Yeah, right. It's getting to the other side of it that's the challenge, is getting through this life with grace and taking our lessons and overcoming our deepest sorrows and our heartbreaks and our stuff. You know, what was it like to have, I mean, what was the feeling with all your siblings? Like, oh yeah, Bernadette's getting exercised today. The priest is coming over. Like, what was that like?
No,
Did everybody
I was
clear the house?
there.
Or like, what the heck?
I was there. I was at the actual church location.
Oh, okay.
And so I was kind of like, I didn't know what was happening until it started happening. And I was being circled in this room.
Oh my God.
So yeah, the feeling was terror. I was terrified. And not to mention, I was sweating. I mean,
That would send me into such a panic attack, especially at 14.
Yeah.
I would have gone into a fight or flight response for sure.
There was no flighting. You
were locked in.
I was like,
how long did it last?
It felt like forever. I remember, what was it? I think it was after that I was brought into a room, and I think I just mentally had checked out, because the nun, the sister or whatever, who was sitting there, she was talking, but I didn't remember anything she said. Nothing. I mean, my mom was there and I was there and she was there, and so
your higher self was like, and we're out. We're just going to go here for a little while and let me know when it's done and we'll drop you back in.
Exactly. It wasn't long after that, I was sent away for a year, and then almost a year. And
did you go to a boarding school or something, or?
What's that?
Did you go to boarding school or something for a year, or go stay with a relative?
No, I was sent to my sister's in West Virginia. My mother, I suppose, assumed that she was going to be the healthiest outlet for me, since I was a little out of control. And mind you, their idea of out of control and my idea now, after having and raising my own many tribe.
Yeah. Bernadette has 8 children of her own. She has 8 children, so she knows a little bit about parenting.
Yeah, well, what was I thinking? I wasn't, clearly. No, anyway, yeah, so was sent there, and it was kind of like the idea of sending me away to boarding school, but it was just more comfortable for my mom to do it because it was my sister instead. So
how was that year for you with your sister?
I really did lash out. I mean, after that whole thing with the church, and I didn't tell you, part of Christian's like major traumatic event, excuse me. My father was very prejudiced man, and I am a very free spirit. So part of all of that experience was attached to me being involved with an individual of a darker complexion than me. And so after that was realized, and my mom actually saved my life, if you want the truth of the matter. She had bust through the door in the timing that she did. I wouldn't be here today. And so after that is when they took me through the city that we were living in, and pretty much in my condition after this whole thing with my dad, went from house to house through the city to the different parishioners, basically as like, it reminded me of the witching back in the day, when they would take the witch through the city and, you know, drag her around from place to place, and people can throw stones and do whatever. I mean, it was kind of like, in my mind, it was that same type of a concept. It's the same type of a
It
feeling.
must have been so painful for you. You have survived a lot of trauma. You've had a lot of trauma.
Well, hence my 8-week program, Wendy.
I know. You know, it's so interesting that we tend to take all of this inner experience, right, and suffering, and it sounds like you didn't really have anyone to guide you through it. You had to find your own way. You had to navigate it all on your own, which is such a testament to who you are and how powerful you are. And only from that experience can you create like this program, this 8-week program, right, to assist others with their traumas and emotional stuff. So tell me a little bit about the evolution of that. How did that come to pass? How did that program?
The program, or?
Yeah, well, your healing, and then subsequently the program and the spiritual journey that you went on after that.
It really started after I met my husband. I moved out of my parents' house on my 16th birthday, and really kind of just kept focus on my own destructive past. I met my husband, my ex-husband now, when I was 21. And I had made the mental determination I was not going to deal with church again, that I was done with anything religiously affiliated.
I can understand that.
I kind of went to the other extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And had some life experiences that were of grand proportions. I did end up getting pregnant at 16, so I had my daughter when I was 16, my first one, which actually she probably saved me from a lot more crap.
It kind of forced you to grow up a little bit, right? Because you had this baby to take care of.
Very much so. So I had her. Fast forward to my marriage. I ended up marrying a man that was much older than me, but that I felt like I could show him what unconditional love really felt like. So yeah, right. Woo, the white knight on the horse coming in. So we were married. We were together for nearly 18 years. So we have 8 children together. 3 are adopted, and then 5 biological. And through my marriage, it took me some time to realize and connect the dots, you know, because I was living in a little bit of an illusion, you know, and when I really allowed myself to look at, you know, the marriage situation, I saw how very similar to my upbringing it really was. My ex-husband was very similar in ways to my father that were very damaging to me. So the years that I had taken working on myself coming out of my childhood, I found myself falling back into from a different scenario or type of a different scenario. It was a different scenario, same looping cycle.
Our lessons tend to repeat until we actually learn them, right?
That's the looping cycle. And when I realized that's when I started my transformation. So it was 2006.
What's tough is you had 8 kids, so it wasn't just like you can be like, peace out. Well, you have 8 kids.
Tough. Yeah.
So how did you navigate that?
Very super carefully. When I realized my ex-husband was not faithful. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I knew all along our relationship, I always knew somehow divinely it would come to me that this was going on. So I never really had to go and search. I never searched. I never picked up his phone.
You just trusted what you got, those intuitions.
So with my children, and finally I had to build up my own strength. And what really happened, Wendy, was I started to feel so depleted and so sick that I just didn't have, I couldn't feel anymore. And I know that that kind of just sounds weird, but like
No,
when
it makes
something would
perfect
happen,
sense. It's almost survival. I think you just have to numb yourself because it's too much to bear.
yeah. I talked to a doctor friend of mine, and that actually my mother had introduced me to over the years, and I had worked with him over the years. So he did more of the energetic type healing stuff, but also homeopathic things as well. So I was working with him, and he basically broke it down for me like this. He said, Bernadette, you are killing yourself from the inside out. I want you to understand that your organs are slowly beginning to shut down because, you know, of whatever situations that you're in. Now, your choices are you can either make some changes and restore life, and you have time. It's not, you know, it's not like you can't fix this.
Right.
So make some choices for yourself and get your, you know, change your life, or stay the way you are and understand that we will most likely experience, you know, what your grandmother did at a much younger age, and you will, you know, you'll pass earlier because of this. So that was really that was my option. He says you can make changes or not, live or die.
That's
It's
a
up to you.
pretty
Intense.
that's a pretty intense conversation, and it's coming from someone you really respect.
Yeah.
And someone who's been working with you on healing. So I'm sure that got your attention.
Very much so. And in fact, it was shortly after that, but I had been feeling the discomfort for quite some time. And when I was starting to feel the direction, like I would want to move forward in my passions. And at that time we were working in the corporate world. So doing, you know, international banking, asset management stuff. But I was feeling the pull to do stuff more in alignment with what I'm doing now. And so I was trying to make that separation. And, you know, my ex-husband
it's such a huge polarity and a huge gap. It must have been very difficult because you're providing for yourself financially by doing this corporate job, but then your soul, it keeps pulling you this direction. And it's almost like the longer we ignore that pull, the more depleted we get because we're not feeding our soul. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's exactly what the doctor was saying in essence. It's like, you know, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So, you know, what's in alignment with you? So what happened was I had made a mental choice that I was not going to sacrifice myself for anybody anymore, that I was done. And that I was going to start making choices for myself that were more in alignment with me and that were going to make me feel good. And so
and the people don't like that around you that are used to you not stepping into
it didn't go over well with my husband, let's just say that.
Is what I'm guessing, because he's had 18 years of you accommodating him and taking care of the family, and that's all that mattered to him, probably. Not that you weren't going to take care of yourself, because family first, right, is probably his perspective, and him first.
That was exactly it. So every time I would bring up doing something that felt more in alignment with me, he would say, no, remember we talked about this and we're going to get my stuff going first and then we'll deal with yours. And I was like, you know, we're 18 years in. When does my stuff get a chance?
Right.
You know, so it just so happened that he was traveling, which he did a lot, but this one particular weekend I had found an intensive program in Arizona, and it just so happened to be on a weekend when he was going to be away that she was available. So I did it. It was the first thing that I did really for myself. I took the intensive weekend, and that was really the beginning for me. She worked with me, and we were one-on-one. When I got there, when I got to her doorstep, she opened her door and she looks at me, she goes, oh my God, look what the cat dragged in. Like legit, I'd never met this woman before, ever. So I'm standing there at this door and she's looking at me, she's like, oh my God, look what and I just started crying because I knew what she was seeing.
Yeah. Energetically, she could feel how depleted you were and broken, probably.
So, but that was it. That was where I started. And she really dedicated that entire weekend to me and serving me. And I had never had that in my whole life. I had never had somebody just even take a day and be like, hey, what can we do for you? No, you're not doing anything. You sit here. You're not doing anything. You're not making your own tea. You're not even stirring your own tea. You're just going to sit right there and you're going to be served for a change. And oh my God, I had never felt that. So it was like, this is amazing.
And you probably were able to sleep and rejuvenate and get, you know.
I felt so good after that weekend.
I bet.
It was amazing.
It was like someone just filled your tank, right?
Yeah.
Filled you up for the weekend. That must have really been something. And then did he find out?
He did, because it wasn't long after that that I had decided that I wanted to do energy work, and I wanted to start, getting certified in different energy modalities. And so while he was away, I did that. And so, and I would do it in increments. So he didn't really necessarily know what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But, I wasn't like keeping it. It was like, okay, I'm going to go here and, I'm going to study this, or, call it more of like a Bible retreat or whatever, because we were both ordained together under the Church of God. So, he was more of the Christian mentality of the wife is home with kids and, that kind of thing. And I'm the breadwinner and you're going to do what I say type of thing. So, but yeah, so, see, where was I? You were going somewhere with that.
Well, you were just saying that you were ordained together, but then you started to go deeper into your energy work. And probably as you went deeper into that, knowing who you are today, that was unlocking things for you.
Very much so. I opened my own
gifts or abilities or things that you weren't really in touch with before were starting to maybe come online as my guess.
Yes. And it did, as I was going through the process of learning these different modalities. And it took me a while to find my footing, because of the conditioning that you have growing up. And I told you earlier, in my childhood, I had these weird thoughts and, just these weird abilities that I'd be able to do these things. And I never really, at that time, there was no sense to be made of it because it just was the way it was.
Well, it's probably so natural. You didn't even think to analyze it or ask why or how you did it. It's just something it was just who you were, right? Until
the influencers, the environmental influencers squashed that, right? When they squashed that freedom, the liberation of being who you are and doing what you do and not having to analyze everything. Like, okay, I can stand like a stone, be like a stone. Nobody can move me because I'm a stone. And then, you're conditioned the other way going, okay, that is witchcraft, or that's evil, or you don't do that, or, you know what I mean?
Did you have any other siblings who have similar abilities? I mean, you had 6 other siblings. I mean, they may not have vocalized it, but surely one of them at least had intuitive abilities or things too. You can't have a family of 7 and you're the only one.
No, I'm not the only one. There are, I have a couple other sisters who are also have their own
gifts,
abilities, gifts. Yeah. So I'm closer with one than I am the other, but they are very spiritually inclined. They're doing their thing, and I think it's beautiful. I think everybody should be doing their thing.
Everybody should
tap into your gifts. They're your gifts. They're yours. Nobody else can do what you can do. You are blessed with what you're blessed with, and even if one person is psychic and this person is psychic too, I mean, their gifts are still completely different. They might be able to tap in, but they utilize their gifts in a different way, and everybody's gifts are beautiful. So I think everybody should just be embraced and appreciated and loved for the contribution that it gives, not just to the people here that we can see and feel, but to the collective that we can't. And that's the goal after all. It's contributing to each other's growth and expansion and involvement. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is the work we do, Wendy. This is why we do it.
Absolutely,
Sorry, I went on a
absolutely.
little rampage, but yeah.
No, that's okay. I think I agree with everything you said 100%. You know, this is such a critical and pivotal time
It
for
really is.
humanity.
Yeah.
This is the moment where people are being asked to choose themselves, to let go of all of those um, expectations that have been placed on themselves, to free
And
themselves,
limitations.
and limitations, self-imposed limitations, external limitations, the stories that everyone has carried from childhood. Because you can't go through your childhood without bringing with you some unhealthy trauma response behaviors or mental stories about who you are, or we all carry these kind of what I call survival tactics that you adapt to
Yeah.
as a child to survive whatever situations are presenting. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody, it's a sliding scale. Some people don't experience much and some people experience tremendous trauma, right? But we
Right.
all have these tools that we create as 5, 6, 7 year olds, 10 year olds, 12 year olds to survive and thrive in whatever
Right.
environment we're planted in, right?
Yeah.
We're like seeds, right? We're planted in this environment, in this garden, and whether we're being fertilized and nurtured or poured around upon, we need to find a way to survive and thrive here. So I think
Exactly.
a lot of us carry these things, and when we get to adulthood, it's our soul's journey and purpose to heal ourselves and release ourselves and free ourselves from that story.
Exactly.
Whether
It
it's being
takes
the
some
black
time,
sheep, or you know what I mean. How do you
regardless what
unpack
the
that?
story. You're right. I mean, it's about, I call it the proverbial onion. It's, we refer to it as peeling those layers
So
back, but
many layers, so
it just
many.
keeps going and going. And the beautiful part about it is, and what I've been able to gain from my own journey, and I was talking to somebody just the other day, in fact, like the onion is ever evolving. You never get to the end. You're
The
always
core.
clicking, you're always. But the beautiful part is that once you start, it becomes so fluid that you begin to, awareness is key. You become more aware of things as you start that process and you start to peel back that onion. Your awareness is triggered, and things that you do, that behavioral patterns or thought patterns and things like that, you're more, you catch it and you're like, oh,
There it
I see.
is. Yeah.
Aha, wow. And you can peel that back and you become stronger, you're more enlightened, you're more in alignment, you're happier, you're all of these things. I mean, such a benefit as you really do just embrace your process, who you are.
You build
Allow
that
yourself just to,
foundation. You build a foundation, and then that alignment becomes more conscious. I think we become more adept at identifying what is truth for us and what feels right for us and what doesn't. It's like you're sharpening a knife. It's like it's really dull at first. It's kind of like our senses are really dull at first, right? We've kind of had this lifetime of being kind of put in a box and kind of numbed and dumbed down and forced to be in the pack, run with the pack and stay in this box. But there's this internal call, like I'm sure for you as it was for me, of my soul.
yeah,
My soul knew, same as you, if I did not change what I was doing, I was going to die. My soul was dying. I was betraying my soul for so many years, trying to be everything for everyone and not being who I'm supposed to be. It's the biggest betrayal of your soul. And we try, because we try year after year to be the good girl, or to be the successful woman or to be the perfect wife, because that's what we're told good girls do.
Right.
Which is a bullshit story, by the way.
Yeah.
We're here to find our voice. We're here to stand strong, align with our truth, elevate, expand in consciousness, align with ourselves to source,
That's
become
right.
sovereign, and then hold that torch like the Statue of Liberty for everyone who is not there, and create a template for others to follow in our wake.
Exactly.
That's what each of us is here to do.
It's
Not
male or female.
Yes, not be in some goddamn box that someone else is creating for us.
Yeah. And that's my biggest message is that, you know, open that box and see how expanded life can really be. It doesn't have to be according to everybody else's expectations and in belief systems. I mean, and we that's the beautiful part about it, is we all incarnate here for a purpose. And everybody that we come in contact with has a purpose within our purpose. And it's all about alignment. Okay, we might even be a little out of alignment from where we are, but that person that aligns with us in that out of alignment phase is in alignment with where we're supposed to be if we fell out of alignment. Does that make sense? So, but there's these like little roadblocks that we create for ourselves to help us get back into alignment. And like you said, it's all about that feel good. And when you are in alignment, what you're doing feels good. When you are not in alignment, you feel that discord. And I feel like
there's like an inner push-pull. And the alignment we're talking about is doing what you feel is fueling you. You know, what is aligned for you? Like maybe this calling to be a healer, or to be a baker, or to be an artist, or when you're honoring that call that's of your soul, that's alignment. You know, when you're around somebody who's toxic, who's been a friend for a long time, and you feel awful after you leave that interaction or exchange, or you hang up the phone, that person is not in alignment for you. That's what we're talking about. It's a feeling, it's a knowing. And we are here to make a choice, and the choice is to choose ourselves and our alignment with what feels resonant for us, right?
Exactly. 100%. And when you do those things that you don't necessarily feel good about, and you still choose to go down that path, you're going to continue to feel that discord, because you continue to remain in alignment with something that is not in your direct highest and best. So
yeah,
again, like Wendy said, it's all about choice.
What I noticed too is when people are making those choices, there's a lot of excuses as to why they have to stay in that career, or that relationship, or that friendship, or those dietary choices. If you're finding that you're having to come up with a lot of excuses to defend your behavior, then it's probably not aligned with who you are. Because when you stand in alignment, those choices are so resonant and so pure and so true that you just stand in that firmly, and there's nothing that needs to be said.
No explanation needed.
No.
And the awesome part about that is that you don't feel like you even have to give one. When you're out of alignment, you feel more like, oh, well, let me explain myself.
Yeah, because you're still fighting for approval. You're not accepting yourself completely, right? It's almost like, I don't know if you used to do this, but I did, where you would get invited to a party or something. You'd be like, I don't really want to go. I really don't, but I should go, because I don't want that person to feel bad because they don't show up, and I'm going to go because I should. And then you start making excuses as to why you should be doing this thing you don't want to be doing. Right. That's not in alignment. And then you go, and then you're like, why did I do that? I didn't even have a good time, or I didn't really want to be there. That's not in alignment, right? So it's really just kind of always checking in, always constantly checking in. Is this really in alignment? And I'm going to be honest, sometimes, and especially around food, I will do things that are out of alignment. I ate yesterday a lot of sugar. You know what? I did. It was Easter. I ate chocolate. I ate dessert. I ate things that I ate Fritos. I mean, I don't usually eat a lot of that shit, but I was all over it yesterday. Like guilt-free, didn't apologize. I was all over that.
You owned that shit, girl.
I owned my shit and I owned my misalignment, but today I'm back on track. You know, like if you're gonna do it, freaking do it. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't lower your vibe and beat yourself up about it. Do it, enjoy it, move on.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. To all the cupcakes I ate yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not alone. Because you know what? We're also human.
And this life is meant to be enjoyed. Seriously.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, I have a friend of mine who complains about weight all the time. And I'm like, okay. So, and this is my response. If you would just not focus on your weight and focus on just this present moment, the sun shining, the wind blowing, the protein shake you have in your hand, get your mind off the weight and focus on other things, the weight isn't such a big deal, right? So it's really where you put you just have to.
Your energy.
Your focus. I mean, we make that stuff what it isn't. So my cupcakes had no effect on my figure whatsoever. None. I could give a crap that I ate 3 of them yesterday. It does not matter to me because no poundage was gained.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad I'm not alone. I'm so glad I'm not alone in that. But you know what's also interesting too is I used to think, especially as I started on this spiritual path, I had this feeling that I needed to be, because I used to have and struggle with perfectionism. So that really impacted my spiritual journey. I thought, oh, I need to be perfect. Yeah. That's what it means to be enlightened. That's what it means to be ascended. That's what it means, right? To be aligned. And that was such a misperception that I had. Because what I realized was I was carrying that kind of dysfunctional program, that perfectionist program into my life. That's not why we're here, because life is never perfect. We're never perfect.
Right.
But what I realized was it's not about being perfect. It was about mastering myself. So when we're in those storms of life that present pretty regularly, we have mastery of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's not perfection. It's really strength and power and spiritual alignment with yourself that allows you not to be triggered and not create more karma.
Exactly. Empowerment.
It's empowering, and it's you're the eye of the storm. So for me, my spiritual journey and perspective shifted over time as I aligned higher and higher and more purely with myself, from that need for perfection and to never feel angry or never feel, those darker emotions. That wasn't the case at all. What I found was I was actually kind of not dealing with them by suppressing them and trying to always be elevated. No, you get to feel what you feel, whether it's betrayal, anger, rage, frustration, jealousy. That's the whole point of this human experience, is getting to actually feel all of it.
Yep.
That's why we're here.
Exactly.
I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that, our emotions, we feel, you said it. This incarnation is all about having the human experience. Part of the human experience is learning the emotions, feeling them, and being really present for them. And in fact, that's the greatest way to begin the healing process, is by allowing those feelings. Like you, I suppressed my feelings for years. Until when I was 24 years old, I remember having a conversation with God. after a huge blow up with my dad. And, it was just, and I mean, I just, man, but all of that suppressed stuff, everything just came up, and it was like this overwhelming flood of emotion that I hadn't allowed myself to feel, because, you know, I don't know if you grew up in the same kind of a mindset, but in my household, it was like, you're weak if you show emotion, you're weak if you cry, you're weak, gotta be tough, gotta be strong, gotta be, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but feeling those emotions and allowing them to come up, that brings awareness. And through awareness, we get to actually work through and let go and release. And that's the healthy way. So yes, absolutely validate your feelings. Your emotions are
The
there
feelings are actually your compass.
Yeah.
They're actually your compass to show you, oh, there's something I need to be tapping into here. Like, let me go a little bit deeper. It's not typically the experience that triggered those feelings. That's just the compass needle kind of pointing you in a direction, right? Drawing your attention to something. That is not it. What's happening in that experience is just the guidepost or the sign marker.
Right.
There's a whole well of stuff down there to unpack.
It's right at the core of your being, and it's surfacing because it's part of a looping cycle, and it's time to be dealt with. And as soon as you become aware of that looping cycle and you begin to deal with it, you are changing, you're shifting the energy you're putting out there and attracting back.
It's an alchemy. It's spiritual alchemy. It's energetic alchemy. That is what we are here to do, is to tune in, get curious, and also look at all of our stuff and remove the judgment.
Yeah.
That's the piece that people get caught up on, because they'll look at it and then they're going to judge the shit out of it. And then feel worse.
Everybody is they're so stuck on the socially constructed ideas. I mean, it's like, okay, well, let's take a little look. We don't even need the microscope, okay, or glasses. We just need to look into your room for a minute. If we really wanted to look into your room for a minute, we could probably pick out 1,000,001 different things that doesn't really work for us, right? Mm-hmm. We're not going to adapt that as our way, whatever.
Right.
But that's part of what this human experience is all about. Learning that, you know, each individual has their own particular part to play, their own role in this human existence, right? Mm-hmm. And that it isn't about, you know, how necessarily we view what they're going through, right? But how they view what they're going through. Absolutely. And how we can assist them to navigate through it. And there shouldn't be judgment. Everybody, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, Wendy, you can cut it out if you want to, but get your heads out of your asses, seriously. Because it isn't about what you think about that other person. It isn't. It's about what that other person thinks about themselves and about what you think about yourself. So every time you have a judgment that you're putting out to somebody else, it is a direct reflection of how you feel about something internally. So whether you're aware of that or not, anytime that you have a judgment to pass, it has something to do with you. Plain and simple. So maybe look within.
Absolutely.
The next time we want to judge somebody for, you know, shaking that baby, which of course, you know, let's backtrack, because as we were talking about what feels in alignment, I wanted to point this out too for listeners who aren't necessarily energetically aware, mm-hmm. that, you know, when I say that, I mean what feels right to you, but puts no harm on anybody else. Right. No harm should come to anybody else with what feels right to you.
I actually, you know, every year I would work on an aspect of myself. Mm-hmm. So one year I was like, this year I'm going to work on judgment. Do you know that, like to this day, like years later, still working on that, you know, I didn't realize how judgmental I was around so many things.
Yeah.
You know, that heavy person walking across the street, or that homeless person, or whatever.
Mhm.
that family member who wasn't doing what I wanted them to do. You know, it just was showing up in so many different places in my life. And it's so interesting that once you decide to start working on an aspect of yourself, boy, it just comes up um, every which way.
In so many different colors and phases, huh?
So many different layers, I'm serious. Like, I had no idea how judgmental I was until I started, you know, that was my year. Here I am. This has probably been 5 years now. I mean, I'm a lot better because of my
Yeah.
awareness and alignment. But wow, it was hard to accept and acknowledge how judgmental I was. Because a lot of times those are our blind spots, right?
Mhm. Yes.
Right?
Well,
Whenever we're
that,
projecting things out,
yeah.
um, we feel justified in our perspective, or we will justify our perspective. But guess what? That's actually a blind spot, you know? So I had to keep looking in my rearview mirror going, oh, this is coming up a lot. You know, I really need to work on myself. And it really was my lack of self-love, 100%, that was being projected out um, through my judgment and the lens and filter I was viewing the world. So that I had to really unpack a lot with that judgment and my ego. Boy, that's a whole
They
nother,
go hand in hand, though, really.
yeah,
Judgment, ego. It's
for sure.
ironclad.
For sure. Well, let's talk about your work real quick before we run out of time. Tell me
Okay.
what you're doing right now and tell me where you're at.
Right now, I have just launched my online educational platform. So very excited about that one. It is my 8-week program that is designed for individuals who are ready to shed those layers that we've been talking about, shift the mindsets to attract into their life what they want. So everything that over the years of what I have accumulated and worked with my clients, I put into this program. That it gives you all of the techniques that you need to get through every area of your life to be able to shed those layers. And it's not something that, you know, you're just going to go through it one time and be done forever. This is something that you can use this course over and over and over and over again as many times as you want to, because like we were talking earlier about the onion and constantly peeling back, every time you go through it, you're going to learn more things. You're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's the beautiful part about that. I'm working on right now the Abundant Life Business, the Abundant Business Program. So that one will be coming out here in a couple of weeks. I just launched my YouTube channel. So I have
Awesome.
some guided meditations and some chill step vibes. I'm a little out of the
Cool.
ordinary with my meditations because I wanted something that was going to hit people in a different way. I think that there's a certain stigma that goes along with meditation, and it kind of, you know, turns people off a little bit. And I wanted to make mine a little more less somber, I suppose, and a little more, you know, so people can do it when they're exercising or, you
Right.
know, when they're
You don't
driving
need
to
to be on a
work.
cushion lighting incense and with your eyes
Right,
closed to do it. It's going to be more of something that works maybe as a moving meditation or something a little
exactly.
more energetic.
Yeah, and so
So where do they find you? What's your website? Where can they
my
find all your
website
information?
is theabundantlifechallenge.com, and my YouTube is my name, Bernadette DiGabriele.
And I'll put all
And
that
my,
information below.
yeah, sorry, my name is long, guys. Sorry, I didn't choose it.
No, that's awesome. It sounds like you're creating all kinds of cool stuff, and the stay home order is the perfect time to give you permission to work on all of that, right?
It really this has been a huge blessing. I just, like I said, it came off my injury, and I had just gone back to work, couple couple weeks, and then this happened. So it was just like, oh wow. So this is really kind of I'm taking this as my opportunity to really just hone in on what I know I'm supposed to be doing. And I think everybody else should be using
I
this
think
time
that's
too.
awesome. And I think we all should be doing that. That's what this time is about, right? It's to get us to really dial in. Who do we want to be? How do we want to show up in the world? What is our purpose in the world? And don't confuse your purpose with success. What everyone's perception of success is, because purpose and success are two different things. When you're aligned with your purpose, you're a success. That is what success is that alignment with your purpose.
That's absolutely right. And the money part comes with that alignment. And I can't stress that enough. It's like, you know, people say, I hear this a lot, well, I can't do that until this, or I have to finish this first before I can do that. And it's like, okay,
it actually
hold on a second.
It delays the process, right? The quicker you align, and a lot of our Marconic energy work too is about alignment. And what we found is when you align and drop all that noise and that density, you accelerate your path.
Yeah.
Because
you really do.
You're literally dropping the weight, like putting it all down instead of trying to run with it behind you, right? It's so incredible how everything accelerates and pushes you and propels you forward when you're able to come into alignment with your true purpose. So I'm so glad that you found yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Bernadette. It's been great. I look forward to more conversations, but I wish you all the best. And
to you too, Wendy. I really appreciate you and for you doing what you are amazing at in this planet, this incarnation.
Thank you. And to my audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Be kind to yourselves today, and we love y'all. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.